A sensation, a technological knockout for the Kremlin. The era of Russian Shaheds is over. Ukraine is launching an army of AI-powered hunters into the sky. The drones fly at 450 kilometers per hour, spot the enemy where radars are powerless, and strike with lightning speed. Putin's UAVs. And we will show you the heroes of this new era. The compartment of Sting acoustic interceptors and the German wonder drone NX-2, which can see the enemy through any electronic warfare, have turned Kremlin tanks and self-propelled guns into nothing more than cardboard targets. Welcome to the channel Ukraine Today. Thousands of drones per month, complete autonomy, and Ukraine's triumph in weaponry. Why does this weapon put a definitive end to the war? My name is Andrei Silakov. Let's figure it out. The sky over Ukraine is becoming an iron dome, which is increasingly impossible to penetrate. While Russia relies on its cheap mopeds, our engineers, together with Western giants, have launched a series of real hunters. An entire army of interceptor drones has already been battle-tested. From the mass-produced Sting 2, which accelerates up to 250 kilometers per hour, to the jet-powered monster ODIN, created specifically to destroy high-speed targets. The occupiers thought their German drones were a problem. No, now they're just food for our predators.
Sting 2. Interceptor from Wild Hornets. One of the most widespread and inexpensive Ukrainian drones for combating mines. Accelerates to 250 plus kilometers per hour. Equipped with computer vision. One win hit. A missile-like high-speed interceptor. It has a jet engine and is designed to destroy high-speed targets. In particular, Russian drones of the Geran 3 type.
Ukraine has become the world's laboratory for the deadliest high-tech. Take a look at this list. The French-Ukrainian Tenebris Bagnette for night hunting over Odessa. The British-Ukrainian Octopus 100 and the secret project of former Google head Eric Schmidt Eagle Merabs. These are long-range and high-speed machines that protect our most vital infrastructure with the latest scientific advancements. Global technologies are now at the service of the Ukrainian armed forces, and this puts an end to any attempts by Russia to dominate the skies. But the real nightmare for the occupiers' rear is the European drone computer NX-2 from the company Helsing. Germany has already launched a resilience factory and supplies thousands of such machines every month. This is not just a drone, it's a flying computer with artificial intelligence. It weighs 12 kilograms, has a speed of 220 kilometers per hour, and a range of up to 100 kilometers. But the main feature is that the NX-2 is a REB killer. It can be jammed because it doesn't need an operator for the final strike. In
February 2025, Helsing announced the delivery of 6,000 HX-2 drones for Ukraine and the launch of the first resilience factory in southern Germany. Its initial capacity was stated as more than 1,000 HX-2 drones per month. The company also mentions distributed production across Europe and the ability to scale up to tens of thousands of units in the event of a conflict.
How does it work? The onboard AI is trained on thousands of images of enemy equipment. It sees the world through a thermal imager and a regular camera, instantly recognizing tanks, howitzers, and command posts. Even if Russian electronic warfare completely cuts off communication, the NH-2 will not go down. It will continue its mission autonomously. The drone itself compares the image from the ground with uploaded maps and searches for its target by silhouette. It is the perfect soldier. It is not afraid of interference, doesn't make mistakes, and strikes where it hurts the enemy most.
Trained on thousands of real photos and videos of military equipment. It recognizes specific classes. Artillery, howitzers, MLRs, mortars, self-propelled guns. Armored vehicles. Tanks, IFVs, APCs, reconnaissance vehicles like the BRDM-2. Wheeled and tracked military vehicles. Trucks, tractors, logistics in a military context. Command posts, engineering structures, repair crews, radars, warehouses.
Many people ask whether it might target civilians. The answer is no. The NX-2 algorithm is strictly tuned for military targets. It ignores regular cars or buses unless there are signs of military use. But if your UAZ is covered with camouflage nets or is moving in a military convoy, for them, that's a death sentence. The drone even analyzes the context of the scene, the presence of antennas, boxes, CBRs, and the shape of the body.
Ordinary civilian vehicles such as buses and passenger cars that are not carrying military cargo or camouflage are typically ignored. This protocol is built into the rules of engagement to avoid killing or injuring innocent civilians. However, any vehicles with specific markings are immediately noticed and flagged.
The artificial intelligence optimizes the attack to guarantee the destruction of the target. Most often, the NX-2 aims for the engine compartment, the hottest and most vulnerable part of the vehicle. For tanks, this means striking the thin armor. It's almost impossible to dodge. In the final stage, the drone locks onto the target and adjusts its flight within milliseconds. Even if the driver floors the gas and starts swerving, the electronic brain will calculate the trajectory and turn the vehicle into a heap of charred scrap metal. Russia is still fighting with World War II tactics, overwhelming the front with soldiers. But Ukraine is already fighting with the technologies of the future. While the Germans are still refining the autonomy of their drones, our warriors of the 14th, the Regiment of Unmanned Systems Forces, is already testing these machines in real combat. Yes, in practice, the accuracy is still around 36%, but this is just the beginning. Over-the-air updates allow them to learn from every mistake. With each passing week, our drones are becoming smarter, faster, and deadlier. Thousands of autonomous killers that know neither fear nor fatigue. This is the very game changer that will put an end to this war. Ukraine's technological superiority and the support of global giants leave Putin with no chance. We are burning down their logistics, their air defenses, and their belief in victory. The future belongs to robots, and this future speaks Ukrainian. The occupiers' aviation is going under, while our new drones are grinding down the enemy's logistics. Deep behind enemy lines, ordinary FPV kamikaze drones have started to massively shoot down Putin's army's multi-million-dollar helicopters, right in the sky. The season of the Great Hunt for the Kremlin's air fleet is officially open. Watch the details of this route right now.
Ukrainian drones have become black swans for Russian aviation.
It's not a good morning. We've lost another aircraft for reasons unknown. It's still unclear. Trouble never comes alone. A Ka-52 has been lost. One crew member was killed.
In just a few days, the invaders lost 2 Ka-52 military helicopters at once. One of the alligators was shot down with the help of an FPV drone near Pokrovsk. After the helicopter crashed, the crew was finished off by fighters from the Unmanned Systems Forces.
The Ka-52 crew was killed March 20th, 2026. A Ka-52 attack helicopter was shot down in the Pokrovsk agglomeration area. Alligator. The aircraft belonged to the 17th Army Aviation Brigade. The crew, Timur Ildarovich Gemranov, captain. The helicopter commander was killed. Ilya Alexandrovich Kuzhuyev, senior lieutenant navigator, was killed.
Unique for the whole world, but already routine for the Ukrainian armed forces. The third destruction of a Russian helicopter using an FPV drone was carried out from a pre-arranged ambush.
It's a hit. Hooray.
This operation was prepared over the course of a month, meaning the routes were tracked. The tactical movements of the Ka-52 attack helicopter. And the Ukrainian side essentially successfully carried out a strategic scenario that was a carefully planned trap.
At the same time, drones with heavy warheads intended for middle and deep strikes are terrorizing Russian aviation deep in the rear.
The results of the strike on March 17, 2026 against targets at the 123rd Aircraft Repair Plant in the city of Staraya Russa have been clarified. Novgorod region, Russian Federation. Additionally, the damage to an A-50 long-range radar surveillance aircraft has been confirmed. It was on the premises of the facility for maintenance and was possibly awaiting modernization.
During the war, Ukraine has repeatedly struck at the occupiers' eyes in the sky. AWACS aircraft, each costing between $300 and $500 million, have been hit by Ukraine at least 6 times. Twice, these flying radars were shot down using air defense systems, and 4 times they were damaged by cheap drones.
The destruction of this aircraft, considering their limited number, is a serious blow to the capabilities of the Russian side, especially when it comes to adjusting strikes both aerodynamic and aeroballistic on the territory of Ukraine.
Every day, hundreds of drones attack Russian territory. Dozens of them reach the largest cities, including Moscow. Russian air defense is not coping. The crews are nervous and make mistakes. In the Moscow region, an anti-aircraft crew shot down a civilian aircraft. In the plane, which was mistaken for a drone, aviation blogger Pavel Koshkin was killed. I
See that flying legally is not difficult. That is now, thanks to the work of Rosaviatia and several other agencies, you can submit a flight plan from your phone and in 20 minutes fly wherever you want.
In addition, Ukrainian drone operators have streamlined the destruction of Russian air defense systems, as well as the companies servicing them, such as Almazante in occupied Sevastopol. In March alone, Middle Strike-class drones destroyed more than 50 air defense missile systems at distances ranging from 50 to 300 kilometers.
We're talking about improving tactical and technical characteristics, such as increasing the warhead size and accordingly the ability to use Starlinks.
The drone war is evolving. Ukrainian drones, which previously focused on striking infantry and heavy ground equipment, are being improved, while FPV operators are now hunting aircraft in the air, and middle and deep strike class drones are hitting Russian planes, air defense systems, repair bases, and airfields located in the rear.
They are scorching the enemy's rear. Ukrainian drones are precisely destroying the occupiers' air defenses, factories, and military depots at distances of up to 100 kilometers from the front line. How the new tactic of powerful strikes on the rear is turning the invaders' lives into a real nightmare. Watch the report.
Another one-of-a-kind innovation, a Ka-52 helicopter was destroyed by a Ukrainian drone. The successful attack took place in the Pokrovsk direction. The Alligator crew went to meet their maker. On the night of March 19th, Ukrainian drones delivered a devastating strike on the temporarily occupied Crimean Peninsula. The target was a factory for the production and repair of air defense systems.
In occupied Sevastopol, a strike by several drones critically damaged the innovative center of the Granite enterprise, which is part of the Almazante concern. This facility was used to repair and service anti-aircraft missile systems. S-400 Triumph, S-300 PM2, Favorite, radar stations 92 N6E and 96 L6E, medium and short-range air defense systems Buk M2, M3, and Tor M2.
2 days before this strike, the Ukrainian General Staff reported a hit on the Aviastar aircraft repair plant in the Ulyanovsk region. Shelters and aircraft parking areas were damaged. Some of the aircraft were also damaged. There was also a strike on the 123rd aircraft repair plant Staraya Rusa in the Novgorod region. A hangar for servicing Il-76 and L-410 aircraft was hit. Satellite images confirmed damage to the plants.
The enterprise involved in the production of IL-76s and another facility engaged in repairing similar aircraft have been seriously hit. This indicates that the situation with transport aircraft, refuelers, and other equipment is now highly questionable.
Strikes on the aggressor's military-industrial complex have already become systematic. With their MyDLS and deep strikes, the Ukrainian armed forces are creating increasingly serious problems for Russia at the tactical, operational, and strategic levels.
Ukrainian forces are systematically working to weaken Russian air defenses and to identify other valuable targets in Russia's rear. As part of their campaign regarding aerial interception at medium and long ranges.
It has become such a commonplace and routine element of the ongoing conflict we are seeing today. Aviation manufacturing plants and various other critical factories belonging to the Russian Federation's extensive military-industrial complex, specifically at least those facilities that are located within the European territory of Russia, are now, in a general sense, increasingly becoming regular and consistent targets, as well as frequent objects of strategic aerial strikes and long-range attacks.
The American Institute for the Study of War notes that Ukrainian drone units have changed their tactics and targets since the beginning of 2026.
Ukrainian drone units are increasingly prioritizing and successfully striking Russian artillery, drone operators, and logistical targets in the near rear in order to achieve tactical results. On March 17th, the head of planning for a Ukrainian drone battalion operating in the Lyman direction reported that Ukrainian forces have redirected their drone strikes, prioritizing the targeting of Russian artillery, drone operators, ground lines, communications and strongholds rather than Russian infantry. This reduces the number of Russian attacks and allows Ukrainian forces to achieve local successes.
Since November 2025, the number of monthly strikes by Ukrainian forces of medium range at distances from 50 to 250 kilometers from the front line has increased fourfold.
Any strikes that affect the logistics of the Russian Federation mean that fewer and fewer types of weaponry will be returned to or supplied to the Russian army. And this in turn means a weakening of the air defense system.
A change in the strategy of drone strikes essentially means that the initiative is shifting into the hands of the Ukrainian army. This was even indirectly confirmed by the Secretary of the Russian Security Council and former Minister of Defense, Sergei Shoigu, who recently stated that there are virtually no safe regions left on Russian territory.
The Ukrainian offensive has begun. On the Rimsky direction, our defenders foiled the enemy's plans and turned their attempted breakthrough into a real hell. Watch next to see how right now, our forces in the USSR are crushing the occupiers and scorching the earth beneath their feet.
Putin wanted some new action.
We are feeling bored. It's total stagnation, and we are looking for some action.
By order of the bunker dweller, the occupiers launched an offensive in 7 directions in Ukraine at once.
It should be noted that in general, the next 5 days of March became so significant for our history, our military history, for our military art, as demonstrated by the defense forces on the battlefield.
Among other things, the day before, the enemy made its largest attempt to break through on the Lyman direction. The Russians deployed forces from the 1st Tank Army and the 20th Combined Arms Army of the Russian Federation. They used more than 1,000 infantrymen, 28 armored vehicles, over 100 motor vehicles, buggies and quad bikes.
Because of the need to show results, they are guided not by military logic, but advance where they encounter the least resistance, even if such advances are often fraught with consequences.
And those consequences came faster than anyone could have expected. In just 4 hours, the units of the 3rd Assault Corps turned the Russians' rapid breakthrough into a full-scale failure.
The beginning of 26 for the Russians throughout the entire full-scale war can probably only be compared to the first months of the full-scale invasion in 22. This is likely the bloodiest start to any offensive action by the Russian Federation.
Just think about it. During yet another failed Kremlin offensive, the enemy's losses amounted to 84 units of motor vehicles, 11 IFVs and APCs, and 3 tanks. In addition, heavy flamethrower systems, Sonspec, and 5 artillery pieces were hit. More than 160 enemy UAVs were destroyed, and the number of killed and wounded occupiers is measured in the hundreds.
It's simply impossible today to rush through, drive, or sneak past with equipment here. That's why infiltration continues. And again, you probably didn't mention by accident that they're trying to hide somewhere in the tree lines, trying to hide in the ruins of settlements they've managed to enter.
And the occupiers had been seriously preparing for this failure for several months. All this time, the Ukrainian armed forces were closely monitoring the Russian preparations. Putin's army increased its strikes with guided bombs on our crossings over the Oskil River. They tried to cut off logistics, started building their own pontoon crossings, and began clearing mines from routes. But it was all in vain. The Russian army failed to capture a single settlement or any Ukrainian positions, only managing to set a new record for losses since the beginning of the year. 1,710 killed and wounded in a single day.
Russia has this kind of infantry because here they have a complete advantage in numbers, but certainly not in quality. The same applies to aviation, especially army aviation, if we're talking about helicopters, particularly attack helicopters like the Ka-52.
But the Russian generals do not dare to disobey the bunker dweller who imagines victory over Ukraine in his own mind. As a result, without recovering from one defeat, the occupying forces are preparing a new large-scale offensive on Kostiantynivka in the Donetsk region. The Kremlin generals even set deadlines to capture the settlement by the May holidays, which sparked a storm of indignation among Z military bloggers and within the ranks of the Russian army.
Talks about a stalemate in the war, about the authorities who don't care about anyone, and about how it's time to put an end to the bloody meat grinder are becoming mainstream before it's too late. And this thought doesn't come from some armchair Z experts, but from the real ones, soldiers of the Russian fascist occupation army, All of this, in terms of vibes, increasingly resembles the final days of World War I in the Russian trenches, when such conversations became absolutely dominant, and the soldiers of the empire decided that home was better than a muddy trench, and that life without dethroned monarchs was better than with them. And what do you think about these events? Share your opinion in the comments, leave a like, and stay up to date with the main news. Stay with us because it only gets more interesting from here.